What kind of signage do you have at your short-term rental? Do you even have any signs? Do you know what signs you should put inside your property? Having clear instructions for your guests is paramount if you want to reduce the number of questions that you're getting and you want to have your guests enjoy their experience even more. My name is Jason Muth. I am a 30-time Airbnb superhost. We've been hosting since 2016. I worked in the media business for over 25 years. This is now our full-time thing. It's our second chapter in life. And today we're giving you some actionable advice about what signs to have in your property. This is the Smart Stay Show, and let's go. All right, let's get right into it. We are talking about signage at your short-term rental today. Rory, I know you and I had an experience many, many years ago before we were even doing short-term rentals ourselves. We were staying in this beautiful place in Hawaii, and you made a comment about some of the signs that you saw at that property.
Yeah, I mean, that place is just a little bit ridiculous. The one that really I remember to this day, and this is before we entered the short-term rental space, there was a big peach hut sign across this sliding door, had the most beautiful view out, Hawaiian view, and it was just interrupted and ruined by a big strip saying, "Please remember to close the door." And I thought, how tacky that really was, that the owner really thought that was appropriate to put on the door. And they had these P-touch labels throughout the house, which really just kind of cramped the style of the guest.
Right. Now, let's not hate on P-Touch, okay? I love myself a little P-Touch. Like, I've had P-Touch machines for a long time and love that label maker. You know, we definitely have them at some of our properties, but we we've kinda upgraded our sign game a little bit, and I think signage is incredibly important at our properties, at the ones that we're co-hosting. In this episode, I'm gonna give 3 signs that you have to have at your short-term rental, because guests are gonna need to know this information. The first one, Rory, can you guess, like, what I'm gonna start with? Like, what is the most important thing the second you walk in the door of wherever you're staying?
Oh, the Wi-Fi.
The Wi-Fi. Yeah, we didn't even plan that. The Wi-Fi. You have to have the way to get on the internet, okay? I think people would much rather have cold temperatures than no internet in whatever property they're staying. So, let me take one step back first, and we set up signs, not on the P-Touch these days, but, the really easy way to do it is you buy these acrylic signs off of, Amazon. You can buy them in bulk. We buy 4 by 6 signs. They're little stand-ups that you put on top of tables, and then everything we design in Canva, and we have printed up 1 hour at Walgreens or CVS. You basically print up photos, and the photos are the exact perfect size for these signs. So that first sign that we have is Wi-Fi info, and we have the network name, we have the password name in the properties that have, that configuration. We also do work with StayFi, which is a provider that allows us to collect email addresses of guests and to access those networks. They don't have necessarily a username and password, but what they have is a splash screen. So the Wi-Fi sign says, look for the name of the network, and we put the name of the network there. I think, what's our network name, Rory? Network and Chill, right? Because, why not? They have to look for network and chill, and then they go to the splash screen and they log in. So there's no username or password. But even if you're using StayFi and that is your configuration, don't just rely on your guest book as the one spot to have your Wi-Fi. Rory, have you noticed that I put signs in all the bedrooms?
Yeah, the signs are absolutely everywhere, and they're there for a reason. And even with all the signs, you still get asked sometimes, "How do we log into the Wi-Fi?"
I was just asked this weekend how to log into the Wi-Fi, and I'm thinking I literally have a sign in every single bedroom and the 2 living rooms in that property where they were staying. But you know what? Hey, sometimes guests, they're there for a couple days. I am not super hard on them, despite the fact that everything is written out in a book, interactive guide, and on signs. We still get the question sometimes, but those signs, that is sign number 1. You have to have a sign that shows what the Wi-Fi is. I've also seen some friends of ours that have posted this, in like a nice framed photo on their wall. I think Kevin had that at his place in Agunquit where they had like the Wi-Fi there. And I was like, oh, that's a great idea. It's like almost a little piece of artwork right by the thermostat. Okay, so that's sign number 1. Another sign that we strongly recommend is a sign about smoking. Okay, what are the smoking rules at the property? You could make it very clear that it's a no smoking property, but You're getting guests from all over the country, and their smoking rules are different everywhere in the country. You're getting international guests, and the smoking rules are very different. So, if you have a little sign, please be clear as to what you're allowing for smoking. We actually have variants of these signs. One of our signs says, please, no smoking indoors. One of our signs says, please, no smoking on premises, because it depends on what the situation is. We've been pretty good about people smoking in our properties. Rory, we've had a couple situations I could think of, right?
Yeah, not necessarily cigarettes though, but, yeah, I mean, I've never encountered an Airbnb property that allows smoking. So, but I think you do have to make it clear to people, y if people start smoking in the properties, then it's gonna take forever to get that smell out.
Yeah, yeah. All right, key sign number 3, and then after this one, I actually have a couple more signs that you wanna put in your property, but this one it is a must, in my opinion, is a little sign on top of each toilet saying, "Do not flush anything except for toilet paper or what comes out of you," right? We've had situations where people are flushing flushable wipes, and Rory, guess what? Those aren't flushable.
No, it's a lie.
Yeah, it's a lie. Dude Wipes is a sponsor of lots of podcasts. They're not gonna be a sponsor of this one because we are talking, a little shade about Dude Wipes, but Dude Wipes clogged up one of our pipes. And we had to get Roto-Rooter out there to, fish everything that was, stuck in the pipe. And on the package, it says flushable. It's a lie. Don't flush them. 'Em. They're not good for sensitive systems. They're not good for septic systems. In fact, we've had people, who pump our septic tanks who recommend only one-ply toilet paper, and I haven't quite gone that far yet, but, it's easier to break down within a septic tank. If you're on a sewer system, it's a little bit easier, but, I've had situations where friends of ours have had guests that have completely flooded places. It just happened this summer where people were flushing, baby wipes. I don't know what else they were flushing, but it was just going straight down the toilet. And if you put a sign on top of your toilet, our sign literally says, "No flushable wipes, only toilet paper. Even if wipes claim to be flushable, do not flush them." Um, but we try to make the signs a little fun. I should have one right here to show the people that are watching a video, but, we designed it in Canva. There's the little toilet that has a smiley face on it. There's a roll of toilet paper with a smiley face on it. So, despite the fact that we're being very aggressive with the words, we're trying to lighten it up a little bit and, have it not be as strict as what the words really mean, but we are dead serious. Like, please don't flush anything down a toilet that is not toilet paper or what came out of you. And I think it's important to have a sign on every single toilet to remind guests that. Rory, think of some other signs that are in our properties. Can you think of any others before I give hints?
I mean, about, keep the pets off the beds and the couch, with the how to use the thermostat is particularly important.
Yeah,
Um,
let's break those 2 down. How to keep the pets off the couch and the bed. You know, I've had one guest complain about, us not being pet friendly with those little signs. But I would throw it back at that guest and say, "You're not a good traveler with your pet if you're not going to obey the rules that we set to allow you to have your pet there, okay?" I get it. We used to have a dog. She would hop into bed all the time, right? And she'd hop on the couches. She'd have her run of the property when it was our property. But if I was staying somewhere else, I would do everything possible to have that animal not hop up on surfaces that can get damaged, whether with claws or with fluids coming out of the body of the dog. So we bring a dog blanket wherever we go. We supply them in the properties that actually are pet friendly, and we have signs that say, "Please, no furry friends on the bed. Please, no furry friends on the furniture." That does not mean that our places are not pet friendly. What it means is that we're going to welcome your pet, but here are some of the rules that you need to abide by if you're going to bring your pet to the property. And I'm sorry if, Mr. Snuggles sleeps under the covers with you every night. I know, Rory, back in the day, you had some cats. I don't know where they used to sleep, but, we certainly don't have them now because I'm allergic. Um, it's not gonna happen at a short-term rental. You set the rules for your property.
I mean, and if a guest is going to violate the rules, this puts the onus on them to clean it up or to take extra care. If they really are gonna have, we're not gonna see it, but if they're gonna have the dog up in the bed, this puts the onus on them to put down some sort of blanket, some sort of sheet to be the ones to clean it up and not leave it all as a surprise for our cleaners to do intensive extra work to clean up after your dog.
Yeah. You also mentioned, thermostats. So talk a little bit about why a sign is important for thermostats.
Um, you know, we with the signs and everything and putting them everywhere, what you're trying to do is really idiot-proof your house, and I don't wanna say that and criticize people, but you could have the world's most simplest thermostat that has an up and a down, dial, and somebody's going to get confused by it, so you and if they are confused by it, they're going to be unhappy. They're not going to get the comfort level that they want, but also they can start to really hurt your HVAC system if they're putting too much pressure on it one way or the other. So you need to keep the instructions clear, and the instructions can't just be in the guidebook. They need to be near the actual thermostat itself.
Yeah, this actually is a situation where we have some P-Touch stickers on the wall of one of our places. Our very first place, we used to get some issues with the coil freezing on our HVAC unit because people were setting the air conditioning too low. So we put a sign saying, "Do not set this below 68 degrees because if you do, it could freeze the coil, which would seize the system, which would mean that you have no air conditioning." We have since put a device on that specific HVAC unit called a freeze stat, which if the coil starts to freeze, I believe it cuts off the power to the thermostat and just lets it defrost before it does that. But we're pretty clear with the instructions not to set it below a certain temperature. But you might want to make sure that you're setting it, having your guests set it, the heat to a certain temperature when they depart. You might be able to do this with your smart thermostat if indeed you have that, but it's never a bad idea to set some rules up for your guests. And if you put that on a little sign right next to the thermostat, that's a pretty good measure for your property. Remember, smart thermostats are great, but not everyone knows how to use them. And there's so many of them on the market. We love the Google Nest products, but even Google Nest has a couple different versions. One is a simpler one, and one is a more complex one that learns. And we wish that it wouldn't learn because it learns everybody's taste without them all kind of carrying over from one guest to the other. So, have a little sign that explains how to use your thermostat. You might have an Ecobee or another one of the thermostats that are just confusing to people. And a quick little sign will get people using it properly. Another sign that we include, again, on the little acrylic 4x6 signs is a QR code to our interactive guide. Now, I've seen some people that go QR code crazy at their properties, and they're putting QR codes like literally everywhere, like on every appliance. And that's probably a little bit overkill, similar to having P-Touch stickers everywhere. But a simple QR code, people are used to seeing QR codes these days, and your camera app could simply point you directly to that website. If you literally aim it at the QR code, that'll get everyone over to your interactive guide. So we tend to have one of those signs in each of the living rooms, and we put it on a nice photo background that's a sunset or an image of the area. It's just so it doesn't seem so out of place. But we put a lot of thought into the design of all of these signs as well. And I don't know. Personally, I think that if somebody sees a little sign that there's a little bit of design effort, even if you're just using a simple template in Canva, I would think that the guest says, okay, this guy cares about the guest experience a little bit more because they're putting a touch of effort into, my what not to do signs. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, and I think kind of the bigger takeaway that I have in comparing our experience in Hawaii that we're kind of deciding versus what we do is just having that little sense of humor and artistic flair on it. So it feels like you're telling a joke, but reminding the guest of something as opposed to scolding them preemptively.
Mhm.
And then that gives kind of the bad experience. And I've certainly seen memes of just really aggressive Airbnb hosts doing similar things where they're scolding guests and limiting what they can do. But having a little sense of humor about it, I think, it relaxes the guests and makes it better received.
Yeah, I mean, our plea, I'm reading it right now, but please no furry friends in the bed. And then in parentheses, I say, unless you use a dog blanket or they're furry humans. Again, just to keep it a little bit light, right? So think about the signs that you might need at your property. Think about the different things that are at your short-term rental that you might know how to use really well, but your guests might have no idea how to use it. Consider fireplaces, consider fire pits. I mean, you're probably not going to put a sign outside, but like if you have outdoor amenities, maybe a little sign hung up on the door leading out to your backyard that might show how to use the hot tub. There's going to be some things you have to put up as per your insurance company with the hot tub. But if there are specific things that you'll need to do, really easy ways to coach your guests through, being able to use that experience correctly and not have to call you, it's always worth putting up a little bit of a sign. We have a sign on our butcher block countertops at one of our properties, really just explaining to people, hey, listen, these are butcher block countertops. And, people sometimes cut on butcher block countertops. Don't do that, please. Here's plenty of cutting boards. It'll keep the life of the countertops a little bit more. And, again, we designed the sign nicely. So like, it's literally a cleaver on top of a butcher block countertop saying to keep them in good condition, here are the things that we're asking you to do. And it doesn't seem too out of place to have signs like that. But signs are everywhere. They're important to have in your short-term rental. It goes way back to like when Rory and I saw our first short-term rental that we stayed in many years ago and saw P-Touch everywhere. We've upped that game. We strongly recommend that you do that. And if you have questions about signs that should be in your properties, please reach out to us, drop a comment here. If you want to get some access to some Canva templates, one place that we think is a great place to look is Etsy. I don't know if you figured this tip out yet, but Etsy's got a lot of templates for Canva that you could just buy for a couple bucks and download and then customize in your own Canva. And even if you're not a graphic designer yourself, Canva is very idiot proof. You could find lots of great signs in there. So that's it about signs. Rory, what do you think? Are we going sign crazy?
Um, we are going sign crazy, but we're trying, try to get your guests' attention and do it well, and also pick your battles a little bit. There's going to be a limit to the number of signs you can do and have them actually be heeded by the guests that are there.
Yes. All right, great. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode about signs. I hope it was super helpful to you. Like, go get some great signs in your property, put them all over the place, see what your guests think about them. Maybe it'll help dispel some questions. And maybe if you reduce your questions by 10, 20, 30%, it's worth every single penny of you having taken the time to put these signs in your property. So, Rory, thanks so much for your time on the episode today. I'm Jason Muth, and this has been the Smart Stay Show, and we'll see you in the next episode.